Welcome to Smart Business Show for July 11th, 2018. Today I'm going to talk about a question that I first answered on Quora, and you can find the link to that answer in the show notes if you want to go into detail and see what I wrote there. So the question was, how do I get started freelancing? Do I take a course or do I just go out there and start doing it? And I really don't think you need to take a course, but you can't just go out there and start winging it because that's just not going to work for you. You're just relying on like the good juju of the universe to maybe come because you're earnest, which is like Linus and the Great Pumpkin, which you don't want to do that. It's unlikely that will happen, and that's the dash dreams of so many a freelancer or someone who wants to run their own business because they just winged it and hoped it worked. I think there's four main things that you need to do if you really want to get going, and you don't need a course to find these things out. First off, you need to figure out what it is that you're going to do. And it usually starts with a few questions, like what are you good at now? So when I started my own business, I went from being a web developer to being a web developer and working directly for clients for myself. The second one is what are people going to pay for? So I am good at reviewing running shoes, but I can't just like get paid for that right out of the gate necessarily. I might have to build up some more marketing behind that, or say do YouTube videos, other stuff like that. And I just do that for fun because it lets me write off my gear. I don't really worry about it making a whole ton of money, although it does through some affiliate fees. So what are people going to pay for? That's the next question. If you have a skill and no one really cares about it, like it's only a skill for your job necessarily, or the thing you really love is not high enough value, then it's not going to be good for you. And third is what's your target market? What are you going to look at? Who are you niching down to, or who are you going to focus on? And where do they congregate? Because you need to be there as well. You need to be a presence there, and you need to market to them. You need to keep testing that marketing as well. If you're looking at testing marketing and the different channels you can use, there's a book called Traction, which I just finished last week. And I will be reviewing it on my other podcast called Should I Read It in a number of weeks. So it might be 4 or 5, 6 weeks still. But Traction talks about the 19 different channels and how to test them, and how they have a good bullseye method, how to narrow down on the traction channel that's the best for you right now. So second thing is, where will you offer your services? And this is where you ask, are things like Upwork, or I think Freelancer is another one, are they worth it? And those type of sites, no. When your clients are saying, I need A, B, and C done, and you're bidding on it, totally not worth it. It's a race to the bottom. Now, a site like Fivver is worth it. You're buying a productized service on Fivver. You're getting free, whatever. Here's my fee for doing A, B, and C, and someone can buy it. You're not spending the time bidding, in which case you go do the work. Now, you're going to charge less on Fivver, but it's a really good spot to look at and say to test your idea. Say I've got two things and I'm not sure how to frame it, and then test it and see what works, right? And you're going to charge less probably on Fivver. You will charge less on Fivver than you would for yourself, but learning to optimize that and what people are looking for and how to grab their attention with it, that's a really good way to test it on to test things out with Fivver. And the third thing you need there is also to have your own site as a central hub. So if you go to my site at curtismchale.ca, you'll find that almost everything I write, unless it's paid client writing, and I write for Liquid Web is one of the sites I write for, and I've written for a couple other sites as well, that they get the content. Otherwise, it's my content. So if you see something on Medium from me, it was first on my site, and then I published it to Medium as well. So have that central hub, and you got to keep going. That'll actually come to step 4 as well, keeping that going. So step 3 is start planning. Is this going to be a full-time business, or is this just a side business? Either way is fine. If you just want some side income, then just go with some side income. Go for it. It's going to be a full-time business. How much savings do you need? What type of savings do you need? How many clients do you need in the pipeline to go full-time? I always say you need to aim for 6 months saved, but you need to talk with your spouse about this too. If you say 6 months and they say 9, fine. If you say 6 months and they say you need 3 years saved, then there's probably some other problem there that you guys need to work out together. So spend the time to do that. If you haven't worked with your spouse to plan this, you're already fighting a hard battle to run your own business. So if your spouse is against doing this, if they're not on your side 100% the whole time, it's just going to be a big battle. It's unlikely you're going to succeed then. You're going to have to keep fighting, and you're fighting, say, the whole business side of it and the home side of it. Terrible idea. Number 4 is keep it rolling. Lots of freelancers get stuck in the feast-famine cycle. What happens is they get busy because they've done some advertising, and they do all that work, and they're just so busy they can't even do any advertising, and they get to the end and there's nothing because they haven't been advertising. They haven't been like keeping up all these other things. So it's going to kill you if you're going to stuck in that. And I talk to freelancers all the time, and that's what they're stuck in. And you start digging through like their marketing channels and what they're doing, and they're basically doing nothing because they were busy a little bit and then they stopped. And the hard part is, even when they come back, they don't do anything for a while. They're just hoping that, like, again, this good juju of the universe will, like, just keep them going. And that happens for some people, but does not happen for the vast majority of people. Never happened with me. I kept blogging and writing and keep blogging and writing and working on books and doing podcasts like this and doing other things to keep people coming into my pipeline, because you need a pipeline to be full. You also need, going back to traction, figuring out which pipeline or which traction channel, as they call it, works best for you. So you need to test what works for you and the type of clients you want. You need to have a follow-up scheme. So how often do you follow up with people? I wrote a book called Analog Productivity where I detailed it, and you can, this is my notebook. So I use my notebook for that. I don't use a CRM anymore, although I have used Contactually, and that was really good. I liked that for a time, but I don't use it anymore. And I use my notebook, and you can find all about that in my book called Analog Productivity, and I'll put a link to that in the show notes, which I'll write down right now too. And follow-up scheme, you need to have a client vetting process as well. So what is your ideal client? What do they look like? What type of things do they do to show that they are your ideal client? So one thing that I do with all of my prospects that come in, so it's important to remember, if you're not getting paid, they're a prospect. If you are getting paid, then they're a client. So with all the prospects that come in, they all have to answer a set of questions. There's about 9 of them, and they go through stuff like, what's your rate? Or how much are you going to spend on this? Who's decision makers? Why are we doing this now? Why is it valuable to your business? And a bunch of other ones. And I've shared that a few times on my site. So if you look up my client vetting process, you'll find that as well on my site. You'll find I have a whole series on my client vetting, which I'll write down as well. So you get a link for that. And so you need to do that so that you're working with good clients, and then even following up later and asking them for testimonials. So you'll see on sfndesign.ca, I'm building up a library of video testimonials. There's even more of them because I work with more clients regularly on curtismchale.ca, where I do a video testimonial with them, and we walk through like what was good, what was bad, how did we work through the struggles, how has it helped them. You need to be doing something like that with all of them, case studies or testimonial or something, and you can use that as part of your marketing. And specifically, you want to focus on how did we solve the problem together. What did we do together to make their business better? Because that's what your next clients are going to care about, that their business is better because they worked with you. So do you need to take a freelance class? No, but you do need to be intentional about it. If you're not going to be intentional about your business, then just stop now. If you're just going to like wing it and hope things work out, stop, because it's not going to work out, or you're going to be looking at your business in 6 months saying, this is terrible. Why did I ever do this? It's just stress, stress, stress. It's all your fault. Be intentional with it. Plan. I've given you the 4 steps. You'll find bullet points for these in the show notes, and come back and reference that. If you need help setting up these steps or getting yourself ready to go freelancing, get in touch with me. You can email me, curtis@curtismchale.ca.